let's grab our handy dandy board.
We got props, y'all. We got props.
What was your first impression? Here we go. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
I knew it. The way that they worded it, I kind of thought, wow, how generous that like they got me.
Yeah.
And then I got the bill. I was like, oh,
Gotcha.
They got me.
Yeah, I just like loved that.
Nice.
Kind of that you walked in that way. Like, sorry, I'm like blabbering. I love you.
He's got a good job here. Like, let's not screw it up for the guy, you know? So I'm like, it was amazing, sir. You know, I'm like whispering, mouthing. He's like, oh, come on, don't leave me hanging, Gabe. It was tough. It was good, but it was tough.
Time for love again. My time for love is here.
Welcome back to Quality Time with Gabe and Grace.
I'm Gabe.
And I'm Grace, and this is episode 10.
Wow.
Yay!
10. This is the all black everything episode.
It is, yeah. We're one of those couples that dresses the same all the time without like connecting with each other, coordinating on it. It's just kind of like a thing that happens.
Yeah, I kind of made a decision. I was like, I'm going to just go all black. You know, I've kind of been colorful lately. And I walk out and I'm like, cool.
Yeah, cool. Black joggers, comfy black shirt.
Yeah.
And crew socks. That's the uniform today. Yes. And if you're watching, you can see that with your own eyes. We're on YouTube.
We are, in fact, not attending a funeral.
We're actually celebrating 10 episodes.
We're celebrating 10 episodes. Yeah, it's our 10 episode anniversary.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I don't know if that's how it works, but it feels like it.
Well, I'm excited to jump in with you today for a little bit more quality time with each other. That's what this show is all about. And before we get started with kind of a fun and unique episode, I want to kick us off with some quality over quantity.
Of course.
And of course, if you are new to the show, we like to share that quality over quantity is a segment we always open up with. And it's just a moment for us to reflect on what we're enjoying, share some things, some moments, some happening in our lives that is really sticking out. And we just share one. That's quality over quantity.
That's how it works.
So I'll kick us off.
Go for it.
And I just have to say 2 words. Mango season.
Oh.
For all my fellow mango lovers out there, we're coming into mango season, which is basically like summer-ish time.
Sure.
But, you know, right around April, May, we start to tell that those mangoes are getting better and better. So I bought mangoes this week, and honey mangoes to be exact, which are my personal favorite. Honey mangoes are like the smaller, kind of like yellowish in color versus like the green mangoes that you can get.
I know it's maybe, you know, contrary to belief, but I'm not a huge mango guy. So
you're not.
Yeah. So like, is the honey part actually part of the flavor profile? Like, does it taste like honey? Where does it get the name from?
So, well, that's a good question. And I think sometimes they might be called champagne mangoes too.
Oh, I'll try those.
Maybe because the color is my guess.
Okay.
But the thing that stands out to them for me is they are less like stringy. Sometimes mangoes can be kind of stringy.
Yeah.
They're very smooth. They're smaller. And just, I would say like the texture is the biggest difference to me.
Interesting.
But that's a good question. I'm going to guess it's the color that gave it its name, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I do like dried mango. You introduced me to that. So that's, you know, acceptable in the palate.
Dried mango is yummy. I've always been a mango fan. It's one of my favorite fruits, one of my favorite foods, and I get excited every year when they start tasting really good again. So I have to say, we introduced mango to our little guy this week, and the first 2 times I offered it, he like wasn't touching, like he was not putting it in his mouth. He would maybe like touch it, but he wouldn't even really bring it to mouth. And I was like, what the heck? Like, he's eaten everything we've introduced to him. Yeah. And I'm like, mango, it's in your blood. And because I love mango and your mom loves mango. Yes. And so he wasn't interested. And then I went ahead and put a little lime juice and a little chili powder on it, because that's like a fun way to do mango. And he picked it right up and ate it. So he was all about it last night.
He's a man
So I think he's on Team Mango.
Many spices.
Yeah. So if you're a fruit person and you're looking for something to pick up at the grocery store and you like to shop in season, start thinking about those mangoes.
Love it. Good. All right.
Maybe we can get you on board this season too.
Yeah, I'll pray about it. We'll see.
So quality over quantity, what are you thinking?
My quality over quantity experience this week was actually a review that a guest gave us at our cabin that we've mentioned in previous episodes, which we should definitely do like a big breakdown episode and tell the whole story of really like the vision God gave us years ago.
Yep.
And then how it came to fruition and how we spent 2 years building this investment property in the North Georgia Blue Ridge Mountains area. So everything that we desired for this place to be, which was a place of rest and retreat and renewal, it's been so fun and rewarding to see all of that really come to life with how these guests have given us feedback and told us like, you know, all the little details down to, because, you know, we labored over the decor and even the small touches, like, you know, leaving certain books out, you know, like whether it was a Bible over here or, you know, a book from one of our favorite Christian authors or even just books about the mountains, you know, just like really beautiful sort of coffee table books, as well as a litany of other small details all over the house. And then even design details that, you know, really went over and above to create a feeling of peace and even luxury in the mountains, where that's heavily contrasted obviously against like the rustic surroundings.
Sure.
And even up there, it's very common that you would find more of that traditional log cabin vibe where like, you know, there's a dead animal on the wall and that's great too. Like I love that vibe for certain types of trips. But you know, we just wanted to build something a little bit more elegant and
kind of curated for rest,
and really just to allow you to not think about where you are, but then also to be able to you know, realize where you are and take in God's natural beauty. So anyways, this week we had a guest staying there and the wife sent me a message and she was like, this house is stunning, like all caps. And she's like, my husband's going to have to drag me out of here this week. Awesome. So that was just really cool. But then they left an incredible 5-star review that just, I mean, it was like we paid them. It was so over the top and just calling out all the things that if I was writing the review anonymously, like I would write, you know, just to like let people know what's, you know, what's included. And so she just hit it all. So she just like saw the vision completely, like 2020 and clearly captured in words what we hoped that every guest would see. And then her husband apparently is like a videographer, photographer, drone pilot. So he drops like 2 incredible videos about the property and just like casually on his social media captured it from above and showed the river right behind it and was like, loved it, guys. And then he did another like really fun sort of like almost like ASMR kind of short film, if you will, of him using all the coffee apparatuses that we've stocked it with, because we have like every, you know, mechanism to make coffee in there possible. We have a drip machine, we have a
coffee lover's dream.
Yes, we have French press, we have special machine, like all the things.
Chemex, all the things.
Yeah. So he just like did this fun like kind of aerial view or whatever of like him like grinding the beans and then pouring the coffee and then enjoying it. So it was just
it made me want to be there.
Yeah, I'm like blown away. I'm like, wow, man, thank you so much. This is incredible. And I'm going to reshare it on our account. Yeah, so that just made my week. That was such a rewarding return on investment, if you will, you know, and not just really even monetarily, just like on the experiential return of you put your blood, sweat, and tears into something. You hope that people see it how you saw it, and then they do. And it's just
the
like,
intention is like met.
Yes, it was awesome.
So good. I love that. Very good. Well, we're going to jump into a new kind of fun and exciting topic this week. I think it really came about because, you know, throughout our marriage, we've always really enjoyed some of the recommendations we've heard around like engaging with your partner weekly, asking like these 5 questions. We've heard it a few different ways, but like, for example, it might be like, how are you really? What have I done this week that's made you feel loved? What's a way that we could grow in our intimacy this week? Like what's something big for you that I can be praying for you this week? And, I don't know, date idea, something like that. So it's 5 questions that you kind of engage with each other and helps you stay knowing each other, helps you grow closer to one another. And it's just being intentional about your relationship. We've always appreciated that. So we were kind of thinking like, what's like a fun way we could engage with one another and also see how well we know each other, and maybe even just encourage listeners to dive a little deeper with their partner, or if you're not married, engaged, dating, whatever, maybe just have a sit down with a friend and like remember to like grow closer. And how do you do that? You engage in conversation, you engage in questions and that kind of thing. So hopefully this is inspiring to people this week
Yeah.
and also just fun and entertaining.
Yes.
So what I did when we kind of were thinking, like, how do we want to go about this? I went on good old Chat GPT.
Shout out AI.
Yeah, shout out AI. And I asked Chat GPT, like, how should we go about this? We're podcasters, this is who we are. And Chat GPT said, here's some fun, thoughtful questions that will encourage the couple to engage more deeply with each other, which also keeps things lighthearted. The questions are designed to bring out memories, preferences, and deeper insights into each other's thoughts and beliefs. So this is AI. If you don't like the questions, don't blame me. It's all ChatGPT. So let's grab our handy dandy board.
We got props, y'all. We got props.
And we are going to go through a series of questions.
Okay.
I will ask the question and we will quickly respond. Some of them will be kind of like quizzing each other. Others might just be sharing an answer and we kind of can reflect with each other.
Okay.
But hopefully this will be fun for us and for the audience. So our first question number 1 is, what was your first impression of your spouse when you met?
Okay. So just maybe like one word or two or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It says, was it love at first sight or did it take time to grow? ChatGPT gave me like bonuses. So
gotcha.
you can think about that. But what was your first impression? Here we go. Ready?
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
I knew it. I knew it. That's exactly right.
His says, wow. And mine says,
IDK. Freaking IDK. Y'all.
okay, IDK. I wrote this IDK question mark. I don't know, because we have a funny story that all the girls, so I met Gabe in church.
Mm-hmm.
We were like in youth basically.
Yeah.
And, when he moved to our town and started going to the church, all the girls had a crush on Gabe. And one of my really good friends had a crush on him. And we were standing like across the room and she was gazing off and she's staring at you.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, he's just so good looking. And I was like,
hilarious.
I don't know what everybody sees in him.
Ouch. Ouch.
But fast forward like 3 years and I saw exactly what everyone saw in you.
Thanks, guys. Wow. Well, so I wrote wow. It's on a kind of a technicality. So I technically met Grace a few years before, because the whole story, which we won't get into, is that I was actually best friends with her older brother first. Mm-hmm. So that was my introduction to the whole Sullivan family.
Yep.
So I met you when you were like younger, and I barely remember it.
Yep.
And then when you came back around and you started attending, the same youth group, I was just like, oh, someone grew up. And so
I love it.
Hence the wow.
The wow.
Yeah. So.
It was a slow burn. It just took us a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It's all timing.
And only one of us got burnt, so yeah, slow burn.
Okay. So number 2, favorite memories. What is your spouse's favorite date that you've been on? Describe it in one word. So favorite date.
Guessing for each other.
Yes. So I have one. Mine's 2 words, but.
This is like actually, I hope it's yours because it's kind of mine. So we'll see.
Okay.
Right,
well, maybe we have the same one. Ready? Go. Oh, that was a good one.
Yes.
Okay. So I wrote Olivia and Hamilton.
Yes,
Would you say that's
excellent
correct?
date? That was a pretty good date. I didn't have that in mind, but now that you say that was like one of the most epic things that and that was special because like you surprised me.
Yes. We were in a time of doing like planned dates for each other.
Yeah.
And so it was like every other month, the other person would plan the date.
Yeah.
And so this was one that I did where we went to see the show Hamilton, which is a fun fact about Gabe is he loves Hamilton. He's never been a musical theater guy, but that's one
Don't
he
really
likes.
care for musical theater except Hamilton.
Yeah. And then Olivia is just an amazing local restaurant.
gosh.
It's
One of my favorites.
Italian and it's like our tip top favorite in
Yeah.
Tampa, Florida. So if you're coming to Tampa, put Olivia on your reservation.
Yes. So for me, like I said, this was actually more some of what I was thinking was one of my favorites, but then hoped that it was yours too.
That was a really good one.
Early in our marriage. So
funny story
I used
too.
to have an office in like Tampa Heights downtown area. And just a few doors down was this empty space that was just kind of used for events and stuff. Really cool, kind of exposed beams, super rustic, all wood and brick, and very like historic to Tampa.
Yeah.
And so in 2016 is when we got married. We connected with this awesome catering group.
Yeah.
And so I think I forget that, was it like a birthday?
It was my birthday.
Okay, your birthday. So maybe it was like the first birthday after we were married.
Yeah, I think it was like my 27th birthday.
Yeah.
26th
So
birthday.
I had obviously gotten close to the guys that owned the catering group, and just was like, hey, I have a thought. I'd love to have a special like private chef catered dinner for Grace, and I'd love to do it in this space that they happen to be operating as one of their venues. So that was the connection. And they were like, oh, dude, we got you. So they put together this insane like 3 to 4 course meal.
That was awesome.
And it was like, so the food was incredible. There was a different wine pairing for every course.
Yep.
And they set up this table, this lone table in this huge space.
Yeah.
Just for us.
It was special.
And then they had like a little makeshift kitchen in the corner.
Yep.
So I brought you to the office, I think, with a story that like we were going to...
I was blindfolded.
Yeah, you were blindfolded, that we were going to go somewhere else. But I was like, yeah, I want to show you something. Blindfolded you, walked you outside just a few doors down, and then obviously took the blindfolds off, and we had this incredible dinner by ourselves.
So good.
And the chef had like waiters with them. It was just wild.
It was awesome.
And then for the dessert course, like they had another separate like little living room set up. Because again, this is like this huge industrial kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So it's just like, we have a dinner table here. We have like a couch, sort of romantic little dessert spot
They had
over
like
here.
candles everywhere.
Candles. It was insane.
It was awesome.
Yeah, the bill on that was also insane.
Well,
which
that's
is
the funny part.
Yeah.
It's like the wording from the friends, the catering company. They were kind of like, "Oh yeah, we got you." We got you.
Yeah.
Like it sounded like the way that you
I was
communicated
prepared,
sounded like it
obviously.
was like a little bit of a homely hookup,
Yeah.
but it was.
Yeah,
not.
I was prepared to patronize them because they were my friends and I had
For
no problem.
sure.
But yeah, I was telling Grace afterward, I was like, yeah, the way that they worded it, I kind of thought, wow, how generous that like they got me.
Yeah.
And then I got the bill. I was like, oh,
Gotcha.
they got me. Shoot. Yeah, it was wild.
That was hilarious.
So that was like the most expensive dinner and tip I've ever encountered. But
yes, but it was very
worth it.
memorable.
So
that was
good.
an awesome birthday.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is, which Bible verse has had the most impact on your life as a couple? Or like, why does it resonate with you?
Interesting.
Okay. I'm just going to go. There's probably a lot of ways we could go with this, but
Yeah.
I've got one.
Yeah. Ready?
Okay, ready? Go. I was going to say
Yeah.
Psalm 37.
Yeah. It's more recent for
That
us.
was
but
my other one that I had in mind.
Yeah. And then you said 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient.
Yes, I put love is patient. I think that we have like a long story, which we've mentioned that a few times. And I always felt like this resonated is like, if you're going to love someone, you have to learn patience.
Yeah.
And everything like that's worth loving usually draws out patience. And you could also substitute patience with long suffering, but like,
Sure.
it's just anything that's like rich in love. There's a patience that's called for. And so we had to wait like a long time to see our relationship like come to fruition. We've had to wait a long time to have our baby. Like there's always like things we're waiting on. It's just been a theme.
Yeah.
And so I think love is patient just like always rings
That's
true.
good. Yeah. So Psalm 37 for us, it's been a scripture that we've referred to in different seasons of our life.
Yes.
The whole chapter is incredible. I think some of the verses that we've focused in on are verse 4 and maybe 5. 4 says, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And I think like as entrepreneurs and people who are, ambitious, but have always tried to focus that ambition in a way that pleases God and, doesn't serve self.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a powerful verse and a sort of like recalibration of the desires of the heart, to make sure that we're first delighting ourselves in God. And then verse 5 says, commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. And so again, it's this thought, and we said it in the last episode, right? Of like, I can control the input, but I let go of the outcome and the output, so to speak. So it's just a beautiful picture of obedience and then trust. And so it's been a good one for us to
love that. It's so good. It's a good reminder. Okay, the next question is, what's one family tradition that you'd love to start with your spouse or carry forward? Okay, ready?
Right. Yep.
Go. Yeah. Okay. I would say that this is the same. So you put annual trip for dad's birthday, and I put travel/family vacations.
Yeah. And when I say dad, I mean me as the dad, because my birthday's in
dad.
November. And so we always talk about in early November. So we always talk about like around the Halloween season or whatever, like, just kind of doing like a early, Gabe's birthday trip with the family, just just for like a fall something before the holiday craziness that's like just us and not related to the holiday craziness, you know?
Yes,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
And we've always said that like some memories in our childhood that really stand out to us are the few like vacations that we took with our families.
Yes.
Even though we didn't do like a ton of vacations, the few that we did are like very meaningful. And then the vacations we've taken with each other are some of our favorite memories.
Yep.
But I'll also say I grew up, and I think you did too, our parents didn't allow us to celebrate Halloween.
Yeah.
And so I always like dreaded that time of the year because
That's
all the
hilarious.
kids would be like, "What'd you do for Halloween?" And I was like, "Nothing." And so I was like, I'm going to save my kid the trouble and just take him on a vacation every Halloween. So anyways, it's just funny.
Yep.
And that's way more fun than trick-or-treating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is your spouse's favorite worship song?
Like of all time or right now in the season? Because it's kind of cyclical, you know?
I have 3 for you.
Are you going?
I'm going to do like all time, but then also like
Yeah.
current.
I'm going like a funny kind of old school one. You have so many. You know?
Ready? Go. Shout to the Lord. Yes. Okay. All my
You're
old
such a
school
old
Christians.
school
Shout to
classic.
the Lord. Anything Darlene Scheck
Yeah.
from like 94 to
hilarious.
96. That's my like, that's
your
my
jam.
zone right there.
All right, you put what? Holy Ground. Oh, Jaron Davis. What's up? Or Jaron Davis, I think is how you say it.
Wouldn't you say Holy Ground is one of your
It's
all-time
like
favorites?
old school. Yeah, like it's
You-
on the same level of Shout to the
Yeah,
Lord in
yeah,
terms of like growing up.
You love to like something that Gabe and I do in the car is like one person starts singing and then the other starts harmonizing. And we are always finding ourselves doing that to Holy Ground.
That's great.
Okay. And then one more day.
Sons of Sunday. That's
talked
kind of my
about
current
that.
jam. Yep.
And then still, we just heard this the
Oh,
other day and you were
yes.
like, what's the title?
Yeah.
So I put it in quotes, still.
Yeah, by Hillsong.
It's kind of based off of the Psalm, Be Still and Know.
Yes. Solid. Okay. Cool.
Good
cool.
stuff. If you don't know those songs, look them up.
Look them up.
All right. Let's see here. Food preferences. What is your spouse's go-to comfort food on a tough day? How does it bring them comfort?
Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna do.
Okay.
All right.
Ready? Go. You said
Burger. Yeah.
white mountain bread / Thai. Okay. I haven't done that in many years.
Yeah.
I used to get sick often, one time a month, and I always wanted white mountain bread.
Yes.
That
was like
I haven't done
your-
that in years,
your
but that's a
comfort.
good
Yes.
memory right
Yep.
there. Well, not a good memory, but you know. Thai, yeah, I do love Thai. That's like a quick, easy. I don't know if I would call that my comfort food.
No. Okay. It's the
Pasta,
most thing.
something
It's the most
pasta-oriented.
frequent thing you text me that you want. So I just think. like,
Yeah, I
okay.
do love Thai food. Thai
Like when we're in
takeout.
a pinch and like no time for dinner or whatever, you're like Thai, please.
Yeah, I could eat Thai like daily.
Yeah.
That's
But
good.
what would you say though?
I would say probably like a pasta.
Okay,
If I'm thinking
yeah.
comfort food,
Sure.
I would say some sort of a pasta.
Yeah.
But no, but that's good though.
You said burger, which is hands down, 100% right.
Yeah.
Or Cuban, and specifically vaca frita.
Yeah. Would that be correct?
Oh yeah, 1000%.
Yeah,
Those are
I know
two of
you.
my go-to meals, and I want that right now.
This guy loves burgers, man. I
Yeah.
feel like we were just on a trip and like
Yeah, we were at a really bougie restaurant / like resort inn thing or whatever that was like highly, recommended to us. And the menu was just like so crazy.
there were so many cool
Yeah,
things
so many
on
interesting
it. You're
things.
like, I'll get
But
the burger.
it's because I asked the waiter and I was
Yeah.
like, "What's
No, they
good? What do
did
people
say
do?"
it
And
was
he was
good.
like, "Honestly, dude, it's kind of weird, but our burger is like renowned." So I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, duh, say less."
Was it
bro."
good?
It was amazing. Yes,
That's awesome.
It's incredible.
Okay. The next one is dream vacation. If you could go on a dream vacation with your spouse, where would it be? We were
just
just
talked about-
talking
yeah.
about this.
So I'm gonna do the two that we said.
Okay. It's definitely going to be the same. We talk about this a lot. Ready?
And
Go.
Greece and Italy.
Greece and Italy.
Yes.
Greece first.
Greece first.
And then Italy.
second.
Greece for chilling in one
Yeah.
of those blue and white caves.
Yes.
And Italy for seeing all the sights
Yeah.
and
just-
eating all the
You
food.
need multiple weeks in Italy
Actually-
just to do all the regions.
Yes, and food in both places,
Oh, yes,
honestly,
gosh.
because Greek food,
The
oh
Mediterranean
my gosh.
diet is my diet.
Yeah, it's so true. Okay, unspoken acts of love. What's one small unspoken gesture that your spouse does that makes you feel loved?
All right. And mine are funny.
Okay, go.
And go.
You said, rub my back? Yes. And thank me for hard work.
What I mean by the rub my back is I'm not really actually getting massages like 24/7. I mean more just like the small touches, like they call them NSTs, non-sexual touches.
That's right.
Yeah. But basically, yeah, just like you brush up on me or whatever. You're like,
yeah,
hey, whatever, kind of rub my back.
I feel like I do that a lot with you.
Yeah, which I like. And then the other, just when like I've been, doing something at work or something around the house or whatever, and you're just like, hey, thank you. You work so hard. I'm like,
yeah.
I want to work even harder for you now.
Oh,
so,
you do work so hard for our family. Okay, and
I
did.
Put, get me gas, which I do, fill you up all the time, and then cook when I'm tired. Yeah. Nice.
Those two things really, like when you fill up my tank and I don't have to go to the gas station. Oh, come on.
Y'all.
And then, if you cook when I'm tired. Thing about Gabe is like you put him in the kitchen and he will instantly turn it into like Beat Bobby Flay. Like he's working tirelessly to make the most amazing Master Chef level dish. He loves to be like fancy with his plating.
Yeah, it's kind of a problem because I'm not good at just like, functional, just like feed myself cooking. I have to go all the way. And then I'm taking photos and being like, this is the best meal I've ever had. Sending it out to all the folks.
It's so true.
All the homies.
All right. What personality trait of your spouse most drew you to them in the beginning of your relationship?
I don't even know if I'm going to spell this right.
Ready, set, go.
Ooh,
oh, okay.
Confidence. CONFIDE.
I said confidence. When I think of you, like when I first came into a relationship with you, I do think of just your confidence and not like a cockiness actually at all, just a confidence, like the things that you did and worked in at the time, like you did a lot with music and things like that. And we were both very music minded years ago, even though we don't do much with music now, but we were both very music minded. And I just felt like you walked in a lot of confidence and you taught me a lot of things. And I just like loved that kind of that you walked in that way. Like, sorry, I'm like blabbering. I love you. Anyways.
That's amazing.
Sit on here.
Keep going. Did I say words of affirmation were my love language? Okay.
This is an episode for YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube,
you're missing out.
Get over onto YouTube right now.
I wrote humor and innocence. And so, I mean, like your sense of humor, we got each other, you cracked me up.
Yeah.
You're a little bit younger than me, but I felt like, man, this girl is on my level. Like all the things that she says are cracking me up. And then your innocence, like I really thought, man, she has such a pure heart and a pure spirit. And I say that to you all the time where like, it's one of my favorite things. You keep me young. Like you have such a childlike way to you. And I see it in our son too, which is, I'm like so excited that he has that same sort of like bouncy, joyous innocence. Yeah. And I just think it's going to make for an incredible adult. And so, love you.
I love that. Hey, did you just say love ya? We have a joke that like you never say love ya to your spouse.
The ya doesn't count. It's like when you're kind of hiding your full emotions.
What are you hiding over there?
I love you. Y-O-U.
What's one goal you hope to achieve together in the next 5 years? And Chat GPT put a bonus that says, how does your faith influence that goal? We can just kind of like expound on that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, some of this is locked up.
Yeah, private. I know. I'm going to kind of...
We'll get to that in a couple episodes.
I'll put 2 words that sort of describe something we want to do together in the next 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'm going to write 4. Ready?
Okay.
Go.
That's amazing. Okay, so
I was just gonna write grow food, but then I also wrote buy dirt,
which we said we're in our country era, and
buy dirt.
Find one you can't live without. So
get a ring, let your knee hit the ground.
Which is funny because it goes with mine. I put a place for rest, which is kind of part of the vision of some big things that we feel called to,
for
and
sure.
Kind of a continuation even of our house, the cabin that we built. Mm-hmm. And then in parentheses down below, I put more babies.
More babies, God willing.
You heard it here first.
Grow food and buy dirt. You have to buy dirt in order to grow food.
Yeah,
so,
that is how it works.
We'd love to get a garden going.
Yes.
All right. And God, send the rain.
Send the rain, Lord.
Okay. What's the funniest moment you've had as a couple? What made it so funny?
Oh my gosh. This maybe isn't like one of...
I wonder if we'll have the same one.
but it's like one of our best stories.
Yeah, I bet you we have the same one. It's hilarious.
Okay, ready?
Ready? Go.
The cruise dinner party. Yeah.
Cruise dinner party. The
Oh my
cruise
God.
dinner. Okay, you want to tell some of this? Let's go into it.
It's a long one, but
It
we
is.
will. Okay, so we went to a cruise to Cuba
and Mexico.
a couple years
It was
ago.
like the last trip before they like cut off the travel to Cuba at that
Yes.
time. It was 2019. I was just looking back at that.
Yeah. So we went on this trip because I'm Cuban and, you know, we wanted to go see the motherland.
Yeah, yeah. Which is
and,
so cool.
and then Mexico was just like a fun bonus. You know, we were going to go like speedboating and snorkeling and all these things. But so on the cruise, we were looking for excursions to try to, you know, really enhance the experience.
Yes.
And they had an experience called Chef's Table, which
Yep.
was actually like a chef-made dinner. Because, you know, on the cruises, it's like all you can eat. And the restaurants are, you know, good. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's like
It's
a
more
buffet.
like quantity over quality.
Exactly.
That's what we said coming away from it.
And so we were thinking like, okay, let's kind of upgrade and make sure that we have like a really special dinner at least on one of the nights. So we did that. And they take us to this kind of separate room on one of the mess halls or whatever. And it's like a nice, you know, long dinner table. There's multiple spots, multiple seats, because other couples obviously could.
Yeah, there was like 10 people
book.
at the table.
Yeah. And so we get in there, and it's just a very interesting group of folks that we're doing dinner with.
Well, the funny thing is everybody had the same letter name as their
So
spouse.
weird.
It was Gabe and Grace.
Yes.
Bob and Bev.
Yes.
Donna and Dave.
Yes.
Kenneth and Cadence.
Constance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there was like a random single person, Marty.
Yes, Marty, yes.
And-
who loved Disney. He was like a Disney adult.
Yeah, he was a Disney adult. Shout out to all my Disney adults. And so the table was very interesting in that way. And
Yeah.
every character, like every couple character was very,
I mean, truly something
Like,
out of a movie.
out of
like
a movie.
Dinner for Schmucks kind of vibes. Like it was so interesting.
and it just got progressively wild and crazy.
Yeah. Because
I
everyone
mean,
was consuming alcohol. You know, we were like,
that's true. There was a wine with each course.
yeah, we were like, you know, the only chill people who were like not downing everything.
Yeah.
And so,
And these people were all older.
yes. Yeah. Bob and Bev were like,
They were in
Bob
their
was like,
80s.
he was like in World War II, kind of
Yes.
old. Like he
was
super
so
old.
sweet,
Very
and,
sweet.
and quiet.
Yes.
His wife was more talkative.
Bev was kind of like the villain of the night. I'm not going to lie.
She
Like,
did. Bev stirred the pot,
Yes,
dude.
she was very much like, you know, kind of old money vibes, and
Yeah.
was just had a comment for everyone at the table.
And it turned into a brawl.
Yeah, dude. So the people next to me, Dave and Donna. Now Dave was more like new money. He owned like LA Fitness or something like
This
that.
was kind of like being at a table on the Titanic.
Yes, yeah. So he like had sold his like stake or something like that. So I think he was celebrating, and they were on the cruise.
Yeah.
So Dave and
It was
Donna.
their anniversary.
Anniversary, yeah. So Dave is like a little bit of like a, you know, a portly man, you know, like very, just a big personality, big guy. So he's sitting next to me, and he just has like a funny voice to him where he's like, "Hey, Gabe, well, you gonna eat that steak over there, buddy? Pass it on down." He sounded literally just like that. And so at one point, Bev is like kind of saying some passive aggressive things across the table.
Yeah, like almost like you probably shouldn't be eating that if you
Yes.
want to like live longer.
Yes, because I think Dave was talking about maybe some health complications. Like he'd had a
Yes.
heart attack the year
That's
before.
exactly it.
And so then she's like, "Well, if you had a heart attack, maybe you shouldn't be putting that down the hatch." And then, so then again, this is like multiple glasses of wine
This
in.
is crazy.
So then Donna is like, "You do not talk to my husband. You have ruined our anniversary." She's like kind of crying a little bit, and you could tell that she was being like
man.
calm the whole dinner, but just had it and snapped.
Yeah, she
And she
snapped.
crashed out like no other. And so she was like, "You've ruined this anniversary." Oh, the other thing too is that Bev, at one point, like one of the waitresses came and opened the door to serve and served her on a plate, you know, because there's like multiple plates. And she was like, "Excuse me, the help just put pasta on the bread plate." I was like, oh, we're like, you know, just melting into our seats.
man.
And And then
in the door.
yeah,
it
she left
wouldn't
the door.
quite
She's like, the
shut.
help left the door open and there's a draft. I'm like, oh my God.
It was just so
Yeah, it
many
was wild.
awkward moments, but also so many hilarious moments. And we pretty much sat there just like crying,
dinner
laughing
and a show.
into our napkins.
Yes.
It was like, I couldn't believe it was real life.
At one point, the chef came in. He was like, I've prepared for you such and such,
Yes.
whatever. And we all had like fillets and stuff. And Dave sitting next to me, elbowing me with his, like sawing arm for the steak. He's like, it's pretty tough. It's good, but it's pretty tough. Right, Gabe? And so...
And you thought it was great.
Yeah, man, maybe my palate was basic. I was like, this steak is slapping, dude. And so at the end of the dinner, the chef comes back and he's like, how was everything? And Dave speaks up and he's like, honestly, it was pretty tough, right, Gabe? And he puts me on the spot. I'm like, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like creating a backstory for this guy. I'm like, this is like his first big break, He got on the cruise. He's got a good job here. Like, let's not screw it up for the guy, So I'm like, it was amazing, sir. I'm like whispering mouth. He's like, oh, come on, don't leave me hanging, Gabe. It was tough. It was good, but it was tough.
Oh,
and
man.
So then like Bev is like popping off and just like and just kind of zinging everyone got it, like no one was
she
safe.
was making a lot of food and body commentary.
Yeah.
And she found out I was a dietitian and she was like trying to rope me in.
She
Like,
was
what do you think about that?
She's
And
like,
I was
right,
like,
Grace? He shouldn't be eating that, right, Grace? And it was like,
Yeah.
oh God.
That
So
was
then
wild.
okay, we go home, or not go home, we go back to our cabin that night, our room, and we're like just melting, And then the next day, Bev finds us at breakfast and she's like,
Yes.
I just wanted to say I'm terribly sorry for my behavior last night.
She did.
Bob-
Bob was probably like, Bev,
Yeah.
you.
Reel it in.
Yeah.
And so she like apologized, but then kind of like withdrew the apology and was like, well, but they were acting the fool. I was like, okay, Bev, just cut it. We accept your apology.
Oh, man. And
It
then
was-
Bob and Bev were in the...
the newlywed
The
show. or
newlywed
whatever.
show.
You know how cruises have like, newlywed games where they
Oh,
bring people up.
man.
They brought them up as like the oldest couple in the
They
room.
did, yeah.
And we won't even get into that because it got...
That's another story for
yeah, it
another
got
time.
unrated. Yeah. So,
Anyways,
good
back
story.
to the game. All right. The next one is, what is your most memorable anniversary experience?
Ooh. I mean, it's the one we always do, basically.
Longboat.
Key,
Yes. Without going into too much about Longboat, Longboat Key is just past Lido Key in the Sarasota, Bradenton area. And to us, it's the best beach in the world.
Yes, it is special.
We always go for every anniversary.
Yeah, it's incredible.
This one's about spiritual growth. What's one way your spouse has helped you grow in your faith? Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Go. Oh, encouragement.
Encouragement. Yeah, I wrote encouragement because you spoke about this a couple episodes ago, that like that's your spiritual gift is encouragement. And so I think when I've been down, when I've had doubts, when I've just been unsure of the way forward, you're always quick to encourage rather than to criticize or to like join me in the pit,
Sure.
And I feel like that's been something that I've learned from, and then I've been able to model in other relationships, and I
That's
realize
awesome.
I get it from you. So
Thank you.
thanks, girl.
So I said, take risks, walk by faith and not by sight. I feel like you're really great at risk taking, which often requires faith. For
Yeah.
me, sometimes I'm like, wait till all the signs align.
Yeah.
And you've really helped me to step out in faith and just be a little more risky.
Nice.
Here we go. How does your spouse prefer to spend quality time together? Okay. Ready? Go. Oh, cuddle sesh.
Okay, all right,
I
cuddle
like
sesh.
it.
Yeah, I feel like on the couch or like, pillow talk before bed. I feel like that was a
Yes,
big thing
that's so
for
true.
us before little guy got here. It's just like,
Yeah.
spending time.
It's funny when we first had the baby, we would like text each other in the bed to like talk back and forth when the baby was in the bassinet.
Yeah,
We'd be,
yeah,
like
just to not wake him
being
up.
quiet, but still like talking before
Yeah.
bed. That's so true. I said over a meal or over a coffee.
That's a better answer in the sense of like that's more accurate
Yes,
to what we do now. Yes,
definitely.
That's good.
Okay, the next one's on parenting. If you have children, which we have one, what's one parenting value you both prioritize the most? I've got one word. Ready? Go. Okay.
Okay.
You said consistency?
Yeah. And you said presence.
Yeah, I would say both of those are correct. Presence as in being present.
Yeah,
showing up.
Not gifts.
Yeah, those are pretty self-explanatory. I would
Yeah.
say those are both pretty accurate. All right. Okay, the next question is on cute nicknames. Does your spouse have a cute or funny nickname for you? If so, what is it?
This is a big drop.
Oh, there are
I'm
too many
surprised
to name, honestly,
that we're
but
gonna
there is
reveal
one
this, but-
that I think would.
It's a lot of backstory, and I don't even remember the full backstory. But ready?
Ready?
1, 2.
Bonk.
So weird.
If you know, you
If you
know.
know, you know.
That's what we'll say for that one.
Yeah, I think it's like
We have had so many variations of nicknames
You know
that
where
have
it came
turned
from?
one into the next.
it came, I think, from like when we were trying to never call each other names or something, like in fights or conflicts, or sometimes it's almost the equivalent of like saying, "Oh, you're a stinker," or whatever.
Yeah, quit being a bonk.
Quit being a bonk. So I don't know where it came from, but that's the phrase origin is.
But
like,
it also
don't be a
is
bonk.
like
But then now
endearment.
it's become more endearment, and then we joke since we got our espresso machine, we named our like
Our cafe.
made up cafe in our house the Bonk and Bean. So
We also started calling two of our best friends
yeah,
the
bonk.
The bonks.
Yeah, the bonks.
So it's
Yeah,
it's
like,
definitely
I
a
let
term
the
of
cat out of the
endearment.
bag one day where I was like, "What are you bonks doing?" And they're like, "What did you call us?" And it's
If the
been
shoe
out ever
fits,
since. Yeah.
All right. So we've got a few more here. This one is, what does love in a Christian marriage mean to you? Okay. Bible talks a lot about love in marriage. Everything.
It means everything.
I love it. I said sacrifice and respect.
Got it. So
Like,
you interpreted it.
Loving as Christ loves the church.
Yeah.
It's about
That's good.
sacrifice, and the Bible does say that.
All right.
The wife
I think we
should
have time for
respect the
one more. Uno más.
Okay, life lessons. What's one lesson your spouse has taught you that you'll never forget?
Oh gosh.
I love this.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah. Yours says, I don't check pockets.
You wanna
So
tell them the story on that?
do I want to tell this story? Okay, I don't check pockets comes from one of our very early on in marriage disagreements. We haven't had many fights, but I would say this was maybe a fight where I washed and dried your headphones. I don't even think AirPods were out at the time.
No, I think it was my AirPods.
Really? I don't think AirPods had come out.
Okay, it might have been the corded.
Yeah. I washed and dried them by accident, and you were so mad
Yeah,
and
I was like, what do you
angry
mean?
about
Like,
it.
you didn't check the pockets? And then you were mad at this point because I'd been like badgering you. Like, tell me why. There's got to be a reason. And you were like, I don't check pockets. Like, you erupted at me. And I was like, oh, wow.
Man,
and it's just
I
become
did.
like a catchphase in our house.
Yeah.
Ever since.
Like, I don't freaking check pockets.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like we say it out of context for other things. We're like, yeah, I don't check pockets. So, yeah. So you wrote
Oh,
slow
boy.
is
Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. Gabe is obsessed with Navy SEALs.
So you got the quote a little wrong. It's slow is fast and fast is slow.
Really?
Yeah. And it's in reference
Slow is
to,
fast and fast is
just like one, like slowing your breathing if you're like
Yeah.
doing something tense or whatever. Or think about all the times that you've been trying to, let's say, put a screwdriver to a screw
Yeah.
or like a, something small in detail, and your hands are kind of like shaking because you're just in a hurry.
Yeah.
And so when you slow it down, that's when you can actually go a little bit faster and be more efficient. And
Yes.
it is, I do consume a lot of like Navy SEAL content, which is
That's a
so
fun side fact
out of character
about
because
Gabe.
I'm like this tiny man who would never make it in buds. But anyway, so I jokingly all the time say quotes from the teams or whatever from Navy SEALs and just pretend like I know them.
I'm like,
from,
whoa, where'd you get that?
Yeah, I'm like, it's just my days in the teams, in the SEAls. And she's like, what? I'm like, I just watched a YouTube video, okay?
It's hilarious.
So,
It does help me
but-
though when I'm like frustrated. I'm trying to like clip the baby into the stroller.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
like,
remember.
slow is fast and fast is
Mufasa.
slow. Well, the last question was like, what's a random fun fact? So that's mine about you. What's yours about me? Mine is that you're obsessed with the Navy SEAls.
Yeah. Yours is that you hear words out in the wild.
So true.
And then you ruminate on those words, and then
Other people are gonna relate to
randomly, you will just say them out loud, like in
Yeah.
this compulsive, like
have to
someone will
say
say
it.
a big word. I'm trying to think of an example. Like maybe I just said the word ruminate. Someone will say
Yes.
that, And then you'll just be doing
I'll
like
ruminate
laundry
on
or
it.
cooking, and you're like, ruminate. And I'm like, why did you say that? I'm like, and you're like, I just wanted to hear myself say it. Ruminate.
Yeah, I do that. It's like I just think about it for a while and I just want to say it, and then I'm like looking for opportunities to
The other
plug it
word
into my life.
The other word was, we were like watching a cooking show and they said andouille sausage, and so then for like weeks she was like andouille.
Andouille. It's just like an interesting word.
Yeah.
Andouille.
Andouille. And do we have anything else to say?
And
No.
do we have any more questions? No. This has been fun. I had a good time.
So
I
did
hope you had a good
Yeah.
time.
I hope they had a good time.
Feel like we got to refresh on each other
Yep.
and on the things that matter most.
Yes.
No, but hopefully this episode has been entertaining. Hopefully it inspires you to re-engage with your spouse, have some fun. And until next time, this has been Quality Time
With Gabe.
and Grace. We'll see you next time.
See ya.